This is our background presentation, giving you guys a little background information about our project. And so I'm going to start off giving you guys some information on the history of the site. So Glendale Shoals is situated geographically on the area known as Lawson's Fork Creek. The mill and the surrounding town were named Bivingsville when it was bought by Dr. Bivings in 1832, and then the name was changed to Glendale Mills after Dexter Converse bought it because his wife thought Glendale sounded better than Bivingsville. And on the right side of the slide, you can see a newspaper article talking about the history of the mill, and below it is a 3-minute history if you're interested. And in the top left corner of the slide is an interactive map, which is really helpful if you want to click through and look at all the different historic sites that are present today. So before the 1700s, there wasn't very much happening in Glendale. Around 1773 was the first colonist activity, and there was an ironworks established there, but it was destroyed during the Revolutionary War. Dr. James Bivings built one of the largest mills in the state in 1832 on the site, and then in 1836 he bought his house, which is the Bivings Converse House. In 1880, the mill was renamed to Glendale Mill. In 1900, they established a trolley line going to the other mills and into Glendale Mills. In 1935, the trolley line closed, and in 1961, the mill finally closed its doors, and sadly, in 2004, the vacant building was burned. Glendale Mills had a park next to the mills for the mill workers to visit. There isn't very much history on it. It's mentioned in the newspaper from 1894 to 1907, but we're not totally sure when it was built and when it was demolished or vacated or just left. There's no real evidence of the park left today. It was a really popular tourist destination. It was even called the most popular resort about the city nowadays in 1902. And you can see some articles from the newspaper on the right side of this slide talking about the festivals, feasts, dances, and exhibits that were hosted at the park. And on the left, there are some pictures mainly showing the trolley line that ran through the park. And in some of them, you can see the mill and the other surrounding areas of the park.
These are some historical photos from that we were able to get from Wofford. So you can see here the fire that took place in 2004, and then some of the other images from above to show the scale of the mill that was there. Here's some more images from Wofford's building. You can see the old Bivings house, as well as a little map of the Glendale Shoals, and then some of the Mill Village houses.
Here we have some of the basic information and demographics about the area. So through our research, we learned that Glendale is in a very diverse area. So it is predominantly white, and there's a relatively low income level and low level of education attainment. And the population tends to be, the population's rather older in the area, and the median age is around 49.
And to further continue on what was just said, households in Glendale SC have an annual median income of $36,193, which is actually less than the median annual income of $61,937 across the entire United States. And the home ownership rate at Glendale is 85%, which is higher than what we initially believed, as compared to the national average rate of 63.9%. And to further analyze the community and the people that live within Glendale, there currently exists 175 people, which is less than the 307 people that were recorded in a 2010 census, and illustrates a negative 42.9% decrease.
In this project, we have quite a few stakeholders who have interest in what happens to the site. The main one is Glenn Morris, who is a developer who owns 11 acres on the site, which includes the old mill that was burned down. Also, Spartanburg Area Conservancy or SPACE owns 13 acres of the preserve right across the river from the mill site. And their goal is to preserve this land and prevent overdevelopment on the site. Another stakeholder is Wofford College, which is home to the Goodall Environmental Studies Center, which is situated right adjacent to the old mill site. And then, of course, the biggest one is the community of Glendale, which is the people that live there now and who want to see this project take the site into a developed place that is good for the community and also visitors from outside. More stakeholders include the Tiger River Foundation. While they previously owned the floodplain that's adjacent to the mill and they don't anymore, they own 80 acres of land directly to the west of the site. So they have some interest in how the site is taken and where the site is taken. And then also the Glendale Outdoor Leadership School, which occupies the former Glendale Methodist Church and houses Boy Scout troops and a lot of environmental education. And then the Hines family currently owns the historic Bivings Converse house on the site, and they hope to eventually preserve this house and restore it as a historic landmark. And another stakeholder is Partners for Active Living in Spartanburg, which is a nonprofit organization that fosters community health and environmental protection as well. Overall, the stakeholders have common goals of preservation. They all want to see the site remain as green as possible and to aid the community and also be an asset to the community.
For circulation, we started by looking at the trails, and the main one around the site is the Daniel Morgan trail system. It was founded by Partners for Active Living, and it's a 32-mile interconnected trail system throughout Spartanburg. And as of now, 11 miles exist, and 21 miles are in the process of being added. So this image shows all of the trails near Glendale Shoals, and it also says the distance of them, as well as the type of paving they have, and whether or not they are part of the trail system. And the other image is the trails on the site. This information is for the trail usage on this site to show how much it has been used this year so far, as well as the peak and lowest months in the past years.
Shown here is the vehicle circulation around the site area. The red lines show where cars or other transit would occupy the area and how they would move. The blue shows the existing parking. These are some significant places from the site: Converse College, a 12-minute drive; Wofford College, a 16-minute drive; USDF State, a 20-minute drive; downtown Spartanburg, an 11-minute drive; and the closest bus stop, which is Ferndale, on Fernwood-Glendale Road, is a 6-minute drive. Some further circulation is some blue waves. There's a larger network of the connections of the blue waves. More specifically on the site is the Boston Fort Creek. The blown up area shows the site with some parking, some portage routes, where the rapids are located, etc.
For hydrology, we went into depth into understanding the site's water quality, typology, and flood zone areas. The first two slides on hydrology mainly talk about the water quality to how it used to be certain years ago versus to how it is now. And this is the water quality. This slide shows the water quality of how it is now and how much it has improved throughout the years. This slide shows you a topology diagram with a key right beside it to help you understand. You interpret the topology on the site. The next one after that is just a simple Google Map image to show you how the site currently looks like with relationship to the river. And for the last couple of slides, we show where potential flood zones can occur by showing a flood zone diagram, as well as explaining what the diagram is trying to interpret and what different storm water strategies we can use to incorporate onto the site. And here's just explaining what was shown in the previous flood zone diagram. And for this last slide was me talking about the different storm water strategies we can use to incorporate for the site.
And so when we looked at vegetation for the area, we started by looking at the native species within the upstate, and then why it's important to use native vegetation within the landscape. And so some of these are runoff quantity control as well as quality control, reducing the need for irrigation, filtering the air with and providing air quality control, the fact that they're non-invasive, and it just creates natural wildlife habitats. And so it was also important to take a look at the invasive species within the upstate as well, mainly for the reason that, it costs $137 billion annually throughout the U.S. to deal with the spreading of the invasive plants within the area. And, some of these being kudzu and then the Bradford pear tree. And so to focus more specifically into the vegetation at the site in Glendale Shoals, we did an analysis on the plant communities within the site. And so these communities are the oak hickory forest, bottomland hardwoods, mesic mixed hardwood forest, and coke forest. And so with that, we decided to show some of the plant species specific to those plant communities. And what's shown here is just a portion of what you may find there, but we were able to gain access to the Environmental Studies Department information at Wofford College. And so that link there will take you to every documented plant species that they've recorded.
So with these next couple slides, we are trying to understand what the existing site is like, both physically and in the near surrounding areas, what the conditions are. So this slide portrays the physical existing site in terms of the different topography, and you'll notice some spot elevations on that site. And what we're looking at right now is the existing foundation from the old mill. Now, in terms of trying to see the feasibility of what the site actually needs, we found it important to look at what the users of the site currently are asking for, what they like about the site, and more importantly, what they think the site needs. And so these Google reviews of our site tell us that, one, the site itself tends to gather a lot of trash. A lot of the people that use this site tend to leave their trash, but more of the positive things revolve around this site being used as an oasis, a place for people to get away. They enjoy the quiet nature of this area and the sound of the shoals. Students go from Wofford College and Converse College to study around this area. Younger teenagers, they take their prom photos out at this area. Parents take their kids out here. So in talking about those things, we found it important to talk about some of the places that are near to this site of people that probably use this site. And so Wofford College is 7 to 8 miles away. It's about a 17-minute drive, Converse College being 6 miles away, and then downtown Spartanburg being 6 to 7 miles away. There's also a couple of local high schools that the kids tend to use this area. 5 major grocery stores around the area, but they're all around 5 miles away, if not more. Close to the site, we have 3 golf courses, and then around those areas, 6 different parks, whether they're recreational parks or dog parks or simply just trails, surround this area. So in kind of condensing that information, we were trying to figure out who our audience is along with our direct clients. And so that hashtag Glendale Shoals is what we typed into the social networking site Instagram to kind of see how the space is used through photos, and some of the things that, we may not have thought of just looking at websites from people who own certain parts of this land, but more so the informal nature of it, who's actually coming to this site and using it in a way that we haven't thought of, which includes nature buffs, and again, the students who tend to come here to use it, 1, as a teaching tool, and 2, just as an oasis for studying. Now, along with those positive users, there are also some users that tend to maybe be a little bit more problematic, including problems with drug users and underage drinkers. Because of the quiet nature of this site, they're attracted to this area. With that comes the same issue of trash. People have found needles in the waterways when they're walking through or wading through the waters. They have found empty beer cans along the water's edge. And so the citizens of both Glendale and Spartanburg County who tend to use these areas are asking for a solution in terms of these problems. This is to show the Glendale community in the greater scheme of the Spartanburg County. And so to kind of delve into that, these are some of the prominent structures that are prevalent in the Glendale community, including the Glendale Baptist Church, the fire station, an old church that was converted into an outdoor learning center, Glendale Wesleyan Church. More closely to our actual 11-acre site is the U.S. Postal Service, and then you have the old Bivings Converse House. And then in terms of zoning, our site is located in a general zoning area, and so they follow the IBC, or the International Building Code, and so we provided a link in order to show what that zoning may look like. In terms of events, these are some local events that happen along the site, and so really what this shows us is that it is a place that is commonly used for events, whether it is yoga, whether it is a hammock-thon, drum circle. What we can collect from this data is that we provide a space where these events can continue to happen. And so with that said, some of the proposed programming, although not limited to, are restaurants, fitness centers, farmers markets, and so on, along with art exhibitions, because it seems that, on these old existing structures, there has been an art outlet in the way of graffiti. And so maybe even providing a space for people to formally do so would be part of the solution.
All right, so precedent research for this site covered 3 topics. The first was architectural interactions with ruins, seen here. The second, and next slide as well, covered this topic of parks that were created on top of former mill and industrial sites. Then this final case study was a local trail terminus that we wanted to compare.